Good morning and welcome to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson Madison County Schools. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for JMCSS, and today our conversation is all about the arts. We're joined with Kristy White, our Fine Arts Advisor for JMCSS, and Christy Hayes, Fine Arts Coordinator. And so, Kristy and Christy, let me apologize on the front end if I only say Kristy and you don't know who I'm talking to, but that's...
We're used to that. You know we're known as the two Christies.
That's right.
So it's fine.
We're going to go ahead and start our conversation with the most important item this month. We're doing something new in the fine arts, and it's going to happen at the Malise System Innovation Center. It's called Arts in the Dark. And I've heard David Bowie music and other music in the background as you guys have been planning this, but paint the stage for JMCSS Presents Arts in the Dark, a night of creativity, innovation, and performance in space.
That's right.
Tell us about this.
It is going to be a night of creativity and innovation and performances on the stage. It is going to encompass all of our fine arts programs and all of the different fine arts areas. We have asked the art teachers to have their students paint, draw, whatever form of medium that they want to use to go along with some of the music that we've picked out for this. So it's going to be an all-encompassing event. We are going to have it in the dark. So we're going to have some black lights and we're going to have some other fancy lighting. There will be students in costumes that have light-up features. So it should be something that is very new to the entire West Tennessee area. Nothing like this has been done before.
That we know of.
Christy Hayes, when you think about Arts in the Dark, from your perspective, why might this interest folks?
Well, it's going to touch on all the senses. You're going to see, you're going to hear. You may not smell, but you will see, you're going to hear. It will be very, even though it's going to be in the dark, it will still be very visual. There will be lots of glow-in-the-dark aspects, and like the other Christy was saying, black light. The art, a lot of the art has been painted with fluorescent paint, so they'll glow in the dark. The performers are going to have some surprises, some light up aspects that they will be wearing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The whole theme of it is around space and the moon. So all of the music is space, stars, moon themed. All of the art, each art class picked a specific song, and then their students created art based on that song. They listened to the song, and then they created their art based on that song. The theater groups, we have some theater groups that are doing some small little skits or possibly reading a story that goes along with the song. They might be reading a poem that goes along with the song. So there's a lot of very different aspects to it.
So, first of all, talk about the space this event is taking place in. It's taking place at the Malise System Innovation Center.
Correct.
So which part of the school?
And it's going to be in the gym area.
Okay.
And this is a real unique experience, too, because we have partnered with the innovation department. And they have financially assisted us to be able to buy some of the sound equipment that we're needing and using.
Okay.
They have some great lighting there in their gym area for some of the things that they do with their innovation systems. And so it is going to be a real interesting, unusual, different, event that we've ever had. So we have been very lucky to partner with them. We're also going to incorporate some innovative type facts and, about space and the moon and Jupiter and Earth and, some of the other songs that we have chosen. So it should be quite the epic event.
We're visiting with Kristy White, our Fine Arts Advisor, and Christy Hayes, our Fine Arts Coordinator for JMCSS. We're talking about Arts in the Dark, a night of creativity, innovation, and performance in space. Tickets are $10, and it's going to be worth every bit because the entertainment is varied. You're going to
Right.
hear, you're going to see. It's going to be very fun to watch.
Right. It's going to happen all at the same time, which one of the fantastic things I think about is this giant screens that we are using in the Melissa STEM Innovation Center. They are probably the size of what you would see at the movie theater.
Okay.
And there are 2 of them.
All right.
And so all of our art and the visual aspects will be displayed on the screens as a slideshow while the music or the choirs or the color guard or the dancers or the theater students are performing. There will be art displayed on these giant screens behind us that the audience will be watching and listening, and I mean truly it's an immersive type event.
How did you come up with this idea? I know there was some collaboration involved. You said you did this in partnership with the innovation department. And when people think about innovation, they think about robotics and green power. Talk about how you came up with this idea.
Right. We got with Dr. Teresa McSweeney and Dr. Molly Plyler, and they have been a huge, help in a lot of the planning and the big ideas, of this. Christy and I are both, workers and doers and planners and organizers, but they're real big picture people.
Okay.
And so I think you need both when you're planning something like this. And like I said, they have lots of resources, grant money, and things like that brought this to fruition.
So you mentioned the giant screens.
Yes.
So the performances are recorded and you're playing them on the screens, or how does this work?
The actual performances are live. The music that you will be hearing and seeing, or the performers, the dancers, the color guard, the whatever, is all live.
The students are performing.
The students are performing right there. There are 3 staging areas.
Okay.
And then the art, the visual art that you see is going to be almost like a slideshow type that will be on the screen. So that will not be live. It will be pre-recorded or pre-technology done.
We're visiting with Kristy White and Christy Hayes. They lead our fine arts efforts at the district level here for Jackson Madison County Schools. This sounds like a lot. Take us behind the curtain. You're telling me the students are going to be here live. We're talking various grade bands, choirs, dancers, jazz band, percussion. That sounds difficult.
Complicated.
Complicated. How are you going to pull this off? What's the planning involved in this?
Yeah, lots and lots of planning.
We actually started this in April.
Yeah.
Is when we first sat down with Dr. Plyer and Dr. McSweeney and first started talking about it. And we have been working on it almost every day since then.
Oh, really?
Even through the summer.
Okay.
I mean, it is. It's a huge coordinated effort. From my end, I had to order the art supplies, the fluorescent, glow in the dark, anything like that had to be ordered. And when we got it in, then we had to get it to the teachers, and then the teachers had to teach lessons for the students, and then students had to create the art. Miss White had to get the music, get it to the bands. The bands have been practicing, So this has been it's taken a lot. Like you said, of behind the scenes to get it all going.
So let me ask you, what do you hope the benefit is for the students when Arts in the Dark takes place and they walk away? What do you hope they take away from this
Well,
event?
when we started this, we had a student advisory committee that we pulled from the high schools that came in. We explained everything to them, how we wanted this to work. And they did a great job they had phenomenal ideas because the young people think very differently than we think. And so they had great ideas that we had not even considered. And they gave us, ideas for songs, ideas for different things we could do during the event.
They even chose the theme.
They chose the theme.
The students.
The students.
Yes.
The students chose the theme. So hopefully, even starting with that part, the students are very involved in this. And so I think they have a huge part of ownership
Okay.
in this.
Right. And I think that they will think this is super cool. Really. I mean, I spent most of my time working with teenagers, and, if you can stick some cool factor in there and something that they're interested in, and of course, we know technology and anything innovative is right up their alley. So I think they'll come away thinking that was super cool, and what are we going to do next year?
How are we going to top that?
Yeah.
That's almost my concern.
Yeah.
What are we going to do to top this?
Arts in the Dark, a night of creativity, innovation, and performance in space, taking place Tuesday, October 28th. From 5:30 is the first performance,
Correct.
and there's a second performance at 7:30. Tickets are $10. This is at the Melissa STEM Innovation Center. Again, choirs, instrumental ensembles, a jazz band, a color guard, dancers, theater students. It's going to be a fun time here for students in the Jackson-Madison County School System. When we return, we'll talk more about the fine arts with Kristy Hayes and Christy White. You're listening to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson-Madison County Schools on JJ 97.7 FM.
I saw enthusiasm, I saw motivation, energy, I saw students focus, I saw a teacher in control, I saw JMCSS.
Y'all bad to the bone. Let me tell you something. I am so impressed because the arts are very important to our school system. Give me something fun.
Okay, we have to do North Side. War chant.
And because of your hard work, I want to let you all know I'm going to throw y'all a pizza party.
Welcome back to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson-Madison County Schools. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for JMCSS, and today our conversation is all about the arts. Christy White, Fine Arts Advisor for JMCSS, and Kristy Hayes, Fine Arts Coordinator for Jackson-Madison County Schools. They join us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
My next question I want to ask because of something I heard at Leadership Jackson the other day, and it reminds me of your situation. So County Mayor A.J. Massey was telling the Leadership Jackson class that his conversation to former Mayor Jimmy Harris was, hey, I understand you're going, but don't leave. You know, that the idea that we can all learn from some institutional knowledge. That kind of reminds me of what Dr. King did with you all. But you've been in education 3 decades. Thinking about retirement age, but the superintendent said, hey, don't leave. The idea that the district can benefit from your experience and institutional knowledge. Can you kind of talk about why that's important and maybe unique?
Sure. Dr. King did pluck us out of where we were teaching. That's true. We were both happily at Madison, Christy teaching art, me teaching band, and he was like, we need you at the district level to help us move the fine arts to the next level because arts are very important
Say it
to
again.
And to
Arts are very important.
That's right. Our world would be pretty sad if we didn't have the fine arts involved. But he wanted us to come to the district level and make the arts one of the 3 A's. That was his big push.
What are the 3 A's, Christy?
That would be, should I put those in alphabetical order?
You don't. I see what you did there.
That would be academics and the arts and athletics.
That's right.
Yes.
So talk about how we've moved the needle since we've had you all leading us from a district's perspective and how that hadn't been done in quite a while. Can you speak to that?
Okay, so we have not really had district-wide leadership for the arts in probably over 20 years before he brought us in. As both of us were in the classroom, we didn't really have an advisor or a supervisor, anyone to kind of handle things for us or to go to if we had questions or problems. It was just, you just figured it out,
Or you went to your principal.
You went to your principal,
Right.
but most principals, they don't know a whole lot about fine arts. And that's not say anything bad.
Just don't have the
That's just-
context.
right, that's just not their forte. So that's been one thing, is just allowing us to bring in our knowledge of all of the things that that we have known, that we've brought with us over the years.
Thinking about what supports you provide for teachers, advocacy,
Right.
I think is the buzzword that comes to my mind.
Right. We started with the first thing that we did, the very first year, was we had the huge show at the mall that was it was all the bands, all the choirs, elementary music, and then all of the art from pre-K all the way through 12 was huge success. I mean, just thousands and thousands of people, and had so much fun doing it. And then we did that a second year. And then since then, we have added concerts, and on the band level, they do band concerts, they do choir concerts. We've had a play, district-wide play that is open for any student in the school district to audition. And we are currently on this will be our fourth play that we're doing this year.
Could I
done-
interject?
Yes.
Sure.
Something that when you say that, thinking about The Little Mermaid, for example, district-wide play The Little Mermaid, the various groups of students that participated in The Little Mermaid. You had the valedictorian types, you had your jocks, you had a wide range of students who I think would not have had the opportunity to participate in theater had you all not presented that opportunity. And to me, that is enriching. I mean, it kind of adds value to the high school experience.
The young man that played the lead, one of the leads in Little Mermaid, had never been in a play before, and he was a very, really, really good soccer player, and just happened to walk in one day and decided to audition and got the part, and he was incredible. Had a beautiful singing voice, and like you said, he probably would have never done that before.
We're visiting with Kristy White, Fine Arts Advisor, and Christy Hayes, Fine Arts Coordinator for Jackson Madison County Schools, and we're discussing the fine arts. Segueing, the district-wide play was at Liberty, and Liberty being one of our newer buildings. Something that happened recently, you all secured a grant and updates were made at the facility there at Liberty Tech. Can you talk about that?
Yes. It actually started with Kristy finding a grant in which we were awarded $40,000, and then we had the what's the endowment fund? The
Education Foundation.
thank you.
But pausing for a moment, when you're in the classroom working with kids every day, you don't really have the time or the frequency to go after grants. So, I mean, the fact that you guys did that, number one, is a great example of the type of work you're doing. Continue.
Right. Okay. So, in partnership with the Education Foundation and this grant that Kristy found, we have renovated the sound and light system in Liberty's auditorium.
I think that's huge.
It is a huge, phenomenal feat. We have been begging and asking and praying for a renovation for probably 5 years. So much of the old equipment is outdated and it's analog, and everything is new stuff, digital. And there were speakers that were out and crackling, and you couldn't really have a program of any kind in there without some problems happening, whether it was the speakers crackling or whether it was just the old equipment, or you would have to patch the lights or things like that. So with putting these two pots of money together, we were able to redo the whole system, and it is going to be top notch. It's going to be wonderful for our, not just for Liberty, but for our whole district, because there are so many schools that use that space
Right.
for theater programs, for band concerts,
In service,
in services,
professional development,
professional developments,
coaching meetings.
There's, I was going to say, TSSAA comes in
I
and
was gonna
uses
say
it.
the
West Tennessee
community.
Band and Orchestra uses it.
So let me say this. I'm sure it's been said by someone, but let me say thank you for your work. And it's good for us to pause and celebrate those wins because the entire community will benefit from that grant you found.
Very true.
We were super excited.
Yeah.
I mean, jumping up and down
And so were our fine arts
and
teachers.
and
I mean,
hugging. And,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Because they have had to endure, the
Right.
old equipment
Yeah.
and trying to patch things. And so now, we have something very nice that everyone's excited
Like you
about.
said, boots on the ground. They're
Right.
the boots on the ground, and they were the ones that were really struggling with it all.
So something I've learned, I taught at Southside High School, but now working at the district level, and I think this is just government in general. When you work for a large organization, there are always more needs than you have resources. That's just part of public service. It's just part of government. And so for you guys to do your work at the district level, to help the individual schools, the individual teachers, and our students, that's just remarkable work. The district-wide plays. Let's see. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can jog my memory. We've had Little Mermaid.
That's right.
We've had Annie Jr.
That's right.
I'm missing one or two more.
All shook up.
All Shook Up. That's
That
right.
was
That was
last
last
year.
year.
Last
The Elvis kind of themed.
Yes.
Okay, and then am I missing? Oh, this will be the fourth.
This
will
is
be
the
the fourth.
fourth.
So let's talk about the fourth district-wide play.
Okay. It's going to be Seussical, the musical.
Okay.
And it's going to be in conjunction with Read Across America Week, the
Good.
first week of March.
Okay.
And this is going to be so much fun. And we've already had auditions and we've got the cast set.
This is Dr. Seuss, right?
This is Dr. Seuss, and it has all of the fabulous characters that you can imagine. We've got the Grinch, we've got Horton Hears a Who, we've got the Cat in the Hat, we've got Thing 1 and Thing 2, we've got Maisie LeBird. I mean, I could just go on and on. But what is so fabulous is that this is the elementary year for the play. So this is going to be K through 8. We have students from about 6 or 7 schools that are represented in our play this year. We've got a great group of students that are super talented. Just from what little I got to see of the auditions, we have a great director this year. We are partnering with Grayson Hart,
Yes.
and he is going to be our director. So we're super excited about that. And he has a musical director that it works for Community Montessori, and she is going to be helping him. And then, of course, Kristy and I will be resources as well. And she and I have had a lot of fun already buying costume pieces.
It's fun. That is fun.
Yeah.
Everything with Dr. Seuss is bright and colorful and
feathers
a little
and-
quirky and different. And Miss White and I are going to be dressed in lots of different characters throughout the days that the play is. We're going to have fun too.
We already Thing 1 and Thing 2.
We
so,
are
I
Thing
mean,
1
it
and
doesn't
Thing 2.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
You mentioned the 3 A's: academics, athletics, the arts. For families, parents, grandmas, uncles, and aunts who may be listening to this, what would you say to them to encourage, their sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, to take advantage of these opportunities? Why these opportunities are important?
Right. I mean, of course, I think that fine arts are, so very important, and because that's my business.
passion.
That's my passion. That's my heart. But I think that in the long run, when you talk to people, grown-ups, teenagers, young people, college students, people our age and older, every single time they have a story to retell or, reminisce about, it's something where they were involved in a group of students where maybe it was a teamwork thing, maybe it was football, but so many from our aspect would be, oh, my choir did this. We went on this trip. Or, oh, I remember how fabulous it was when we had band competitions and when we won, this, that, and the other. Or even my own two children who reminisce back from high school about their play experiences.
They're adults now.
And they're
but
adults.
Those are the memories they remember.
And they, we had conversations last spring, and they were like, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm at play practice. And they were like, oh, I wish we could be at play practice. And they're adults. They have their own jobs now, grown people. So I just think it's things like that that you want your children to be involved in wholesome, accepting, positive aspects. And that's what fine arts will do for your children.
Kristy Hayes, if I want to be a basketball player, it would help if I were tall. If I wanted to be a football player, it would help if I were strong. What do I need in order to participate in the fine arts? What do I need?
All
what
you
skill set
need
do
is
I?
a desire to get in there and learn something new and have fun.
Okay.
That's it. If even if it's on the band level. Now, granted, in choir, if you don't have the nicest
don't
voice,
sing well,
you
then-
don't sing well. Choir may not be where you need to land unless you were learning the engineering or the technology part behind choir. And I used to tell my art students all the time, even within just an art class, you might not be able to draw very well, but you might create phenomenal sculptures. Sometimes it's just finding your niche. What is it that you excel at? And the other thing that we tend to discover is that when these students are involved with a group like that of fine arts or sports or whatever, it gives them something to look forward to, and they want to go to school. And we know that since the pandemic can be a problem, but it gives them that desire. They want to go. They want to be with their friends. They want to go to choir. They want to go to band. They want to go to their art class. And, that's even if they may not like math or they may not like reading, but there's something there that's drawing them and they love to do.
That's
We're
their
gonna-
people.
We're going to take another time out. When we return, I want to ask you specifically about band, theater, visual art, and dance. You're listening to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson-Madison County Schools. Today's conversation, it's the fine arts. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I am very, very impressed. Really proud of these students for showing their efforts in the arts.
Let's do power line.
Impressive. Impressive. Good job. Give yourselves a hand. I really appreciate all you doing. Pizza on me when you all want it. Right now. Pizza on me when y'all, tomorrow or next Friday. Perform well tomorrow at the game, you all. Count on you all. Do well for me, okay? Proud of you. Keep up the good work. Pizza tomorrow, all right? Y'all have a good one.
Welcome back to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson-Madison County Schools. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for JMCSS, and today's conversation is all about the fine arts. We know the arts, that's one of the 3 A's in our school district: academics, the arts, and athletics. And this morning, we're thrilled to be joined by Kristy White, our Fine Arts Advisor, and Kristy Hayes, our Fine Arts Coordinator for JMCSS. If you missed the first half of our conversation, you can just go to our YouTube channel or check it out on radio731.com. Kristy's, thanks for being here. So we talked about the updates at the stage at Liberty Tech that's going to benefit the entire district. We've talked about the district-wide plays. Now, kind of a popcorn round. A lot of folks saw the video on social media, Marlon on the Move, the superintendent visiting the bands at South Side and North Side. And I'm going to say this, and you guys know I'm a sports guy. Did sports at Channel 7 and WTVQ in Kentucky. It's been a pleasant surprise to see the reception and the interaction on those videos, because typically the posts that get the most interaction on social media are the sports posts, even though the majority of our Facebook followers are women. But far and away, the superintendent's visits to visit with the Northside band and visit with the Southside band, far and away have been our most popular social media posts. I mean, you could go back, not just this year, but in the last several years. Why do you think that is? Why do people enjoy the arts?
I think everybody loves music, and I don't care who you are, you probably are listening to something, whether it's in your car or if you're working out or if you're trying to relax. Music is just part of our nature, that we enjoy that and we love that. And bands are very popular. That's a go-to thing at a high school, especially with a football team. So I mean, you hope and would love that your programs would be growing and doing well and flourishing, and we do have some that are really moving forward.
That's part of the whole Friday night experience.
That's right.
So thinking about some industry or some private citizen maybe listening to this conversation, and they remember a time when they were in the band or in theater.
Right.
Let's say someone wanted to make a donation of $5,000 to $10,000. It's not a lot, but that's a lot of money for us. What would you do with a donation like that? Where would the need be in your opinion? We'll go, because I know you guys are.
We represent different parts of the fine arts.
We have our musical and our visual. So from a visual standpoint, if the district was gifted $10,000, where do you see that going and serving the most good?
So we have a lot of equipment that can be very expensive. Kilns are very expensive.
Which is?
For pottery.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other equipment even besides the kiln. There's slab presses. There's all kinds of things that go with that. So equipment can be very expensive, and that's not typically something that you can purchase on a yearly basis. So that would be something. We always need additional art supplies because that's a consumable. So once you've used that paint, it's gone.
Right.
And you need more. So we're constantly replacing art supplies.
Christy White, how would you answer this from the music side?
Right,
How would
right.
you spend if we were gifted $10,000
Sure,
for fine arts?
Right. Of course, our big expense is any kind of musical instrument.
Okay.
They are so very expensive, and people don't realize how expensive they are because they look on Amazon and they're like, "Oh, I can get a trumpet for $200," and I'm always telling people, no. That's not where you want to buy your instrument from Amazon for $200.
Okay.
That's really like a toy, and it's going to tear up, and you're not going to be able to find anybody to repair it.
Right.
So most new instruments will run you about $2,000 to $3,000 for a new trumpet or clarinet or trombone, saxophone. Okay. And the larger the instrument, obviously, the more expensive they are. So you have French horns that are $5,000, and baritones or euphoniums that are around $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Tubas or sousaphones that cost anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. A new drum line runs about $20,000+. So you're talking big bucks.
So how would you make those dollars spread?
Well, we do have access to some places where you can buy some good used, reworked instruments, repaired, replaced instruments, and so sometimes we try to look for those areas where we can maximize our dollars that way. And we, of course, when things get to the point where it's difficult to repair them, replace them because they're just worn out. We have gotten school board approval before to compile all of our old purchased instruments and have a company come and pick those up and use them for parts and pieces for other repairs and things. And they'll give you a little bit of money, for your junk.
Well, let's say I don't have $10,000. Let's just say I have an old saxophone from my high school and middle school days.
Sure.
Can I donate that? What does that look like?
Absolutely. We would love to have any kind of donations that, and I know from my own children. I have, some instruments that that are sitting in my storage unit or in my attic or in my closet. And so if you have a clarinet, a flute, a saxophone, a trumpet, a trombone, some drum equipment, whatever, and you would like to get rid of that and get it out of your way, we would happily take that and pass those on to our middle school and high school programs that are in need of instruments, because we have so many students, especially at the middle school level, that would love to join a band program, but they just don't have the financial resources to be able to purchase a new instrument or even rent one, because rental fees have gone up so much for band instruments.
So they just deliver it to the central office? What would that look like?
Yeah, we would happily take your donations. You can just deliver those to 310 North Parkway, which is our central office building. They can put my name on it, Kristy White, and
For gently
used instruments that you would love to donate for a student to use. We would happily take that, and those students would be very appreciative, as would their directors.
And let me add, because I don't want anybody to think that I only talked about, the needs for just art. We huge needs in theater also. The curtains need to be replaced, after, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, the curtains get holes in them. The stage needs to be replaced. They have to have, each of the high schools have their own theater.
Right.
And so, you have to, there's upkeep there also. So
And
it's
although they receive support on a rotating basis,
Right.
my turn might be 3 years from now.
Right.
So
right,
then something, a gift like that would help.
Right.
Yeah. So quickly, visual art and dance. What do you want to tell us about visual art and dance? Because we know fine arts is not just marching band.
So we have a one school that offers middle school and high school dance, and Nadia Beard teaches that at JCM Middle and JCM High School. She does a great job with that. She also steps in when we have our plays and helps with choreography, any of that. It's something that I wish we could expand. I would love to see that expand to some of the other schools, so that's something that we will continue to work on. We also have, of course, with the bands, you have color guard.
Yes, that's
you
another
have,
opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
It's again, you can be in band and not even be able to play an instrument of any kind, but you could be in color guard.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're hoping to start a partnership with a Winter Guard here in our district. There is a West Tennessee Winter Guard. It's called Project Imagination, and they do Winter Guard competitions. They perform in a gymnasium, for competitions, but it would also make fun, entertainment for a basketball
Right.
halftime,
Yeah.
things like that. So we have
Look at
several.
you thinking outside of the box. Wait a minute. That needs to happen. Let me write that down.
We also have at JCM the equipment. Byron Cheney teaches.
Yes,
What's that
and
called?
that's with the CTE program.
CTE
Yes.
program.
Yes.
But it's learning how to operate music equipment.
The sound.
The sound
Right.
equipment.
The
right.
digital-
So that's another
digital process.
There's so many avenues that you can expand out from the fine arts. That people probably
Even
don't,
if you can't play an instrument or
Right.
sing or whatever, there are other aspects that you can be involved
right. You can go into fashion design. I mean, you think clothing, that is designing
art.
clothing is an aspect of fine arts, right?
Kristy White, I'm going to give you the last word before we wrap up. I'm told episode 96 of the podcast. The idea that I guess no matter what you're involved in, it's important for a child to be involved in something.
Absolutely.
I know you would advocate for the arts, but can you mention that in closing?
Absolutely. As a parent, and I was a parent of athletes and arts students. I think it's just so important for students to be involved in something. And also as a parent, I think the more they do, the more well-rounded they are.
Right, yeah.
And you talk about college scholarships, for things. I would guess to say that we in the fine arts area have probably as many or more students that go to college having some kind of scholarship for their fine art ability. And, you know, as a parent, you certainly are thinking long term for that. But just on a social, emotional level, you know, how wonderful it is to have a core group of friends and students that your kids can be involved with, and you know where they are, and you know it's a safe environment. And I mean, I grew up having that with the Northside Band.
Right.
And then my children grew up having that in their middle and high school, you know, time. And everyone, like I said, comes back with some kind of great memory and treasure that they hold from that.
Can I add one thing?
Certainly.
When she said that, I was thinking last year when we finished All Shook Up, even though those students came from all the different high schools, they became so close and became such good friends. And one of the young man that played the lead, one of the leads, invited us. Even he was having just a little gathering at his
cast
house.
party.
Yeah,
Really?
little cast party.
Yeah.
At his house, and he had had invited all of them, and he invited us. And I just think that is very special. That they got to make friends with people that they may or may not have ever even really met,
across, right.
any other way, because they went to different high schools. So
Meaningful opportunities and experiences
Yes.
for students in the fine arts. We want to thank Kristy White and Christy Hayes for joining us, and thank you for providing leadership from the district level and securing those grants to benefit the entire community. You've been listening to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson, Madison County Schools. One last time, we want to remind you about Arts in the Dark, a night of creativity and innovation and performance in space. This will take place at the Melissa STEM Innovation Center on Tuesday, October 28th. There are 2 performances that night, 5:30 and 7:30. Tickets are $10. For more information, visit our website, jmcss.org. I'm Greg Hammond saying I hope you have an excellent Sunday, a great week, and we'll see you next time.